What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021. So let's get started. Now, this device was launched in January of this year, and it is the successor to last year's Moto G Stylus. Now, the two phones do share a bit in common, but overall, this phone is a bit of a step up from its predecessor. Now, we have already done a full comparison video comparing this phone versus last year's model, so definitely make sure to take a look at that to see all the various differences. Now, the Moto G Stylus 2021 is being offered factory unlocked, and it also is being offered at a variety of different carriers. Now, most likely, if you get this phone through the carriers, you are going to be saving a bit of money, as they tend to offer a variety of different promotions. But definitely take a look at the links in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing for the phone, as I'm sure that will change as time goes on. Now, before we go over too much more about the actual device itself, let's take a quick look at the box and see what all comes included. So you can see right here, Moto G Stylus. There's the Motorola logo. We have some legal paperwork and then also a README here for the phone. We have a SIM card removal tool. We also have a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And we have a USB wall adapter at 10 watts. But that's everything that comes included here in the box. Now, with the Moto G Stylus 2021, we're getting a very large 6.8-inch display. Now, the display itself is IPS LCD. It is a 1080p display. We're getting a PPI here of 386. We're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor. And we're getting an 84.8% screen-to-body ratio. So in general, the bezels are pretty small here with the phone. We do have a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel, but in general, I think Motorola did go with a really good design here for the phone. Now, for the front-facing camera, we do have a hole punch, and the camera itself is 16 megapixels. Now, stay tuned for later on in the video, as I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from this phone, but overall, I have actually been very impressed with it. Now, internally here, with the Moto G Stylus 2021, we're getting 128 gigabytes of storage, and we're also getting microSD card expansion. Now, this device does not feature wireless charging, but we do have a fingerprint sensor mounted on the side of the phone. And I actually prefer the fingerprint sensor being here compared to being on the back of the phone, mainly because if you're going to turn on the display on this phone, you're typically going to put your finger on the power button anyway, so why not have it double as the fingerprint sensor as well? I definitely think it makes a lot of sense. And also, thankfully, the fingerprint sensor that we're getting here is very fast and responsive. So overall, I'm a big fan of this implementation. In addition to that, this phone also supports face unlock. So it is nice to see here that we do get multiple methods for getting into the phone. One other thing that I forgot to mention about the storage is that since getting this phone, I have installed a variety of my favorite applications. I've also taken a variety of different photos and videos, and done some other things as well. And you can see between that, the pre-installed applications, and the actual operating system itself, I have used up about 21 gigabytes of the 128 gigabytes total that we're getting here. So I'm certainly very glad that we are getting so much internal storage to start with here with the phone, because it really gives us a lot of extra space to work with. And then of course, again, if you need to, you can always add in a microSD card as well. Now, on the back of the device, we're getting a quad camera setup. We're getting a 48 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 2 megapixel macro camera. We're also getting portrait mode for both the rear and front cameras with this device. Now, here's how things look on the camera app on the device. This is through the main camera right now. Then from here, we can switch over to the ultra wide angle camera to fit a lot more content into the frame. We can also easily switch over to the macro camera to get very close up and have pictures still be in really good detail. Then we can also go over to this menu button right here, and we get a bunch of different options here, but we can access portrait mode to get those nice blurred out backgrounds. We can also flip around to the front-facing camera as well, and there's me. We can also take standard photos as well instead of portrait mode. So definitely a lot of different options when it comes to the camera app on this device. Now, I do appreciate the simplicity of the camera app. However, I've got to say that they really could have made this a lot more user-friendly, especially for people that are not too familiar with technology. The first thing is, all these different buttons are very small. We have so much extra space all around the camera app, and I feel like if they just made everything about twice the size, it would be way more user-friendly. The second thing is that there are two different ways to access settings, and the settings are different on both. So there's this tiny gear in the corner, and you can use that to access quite a few options here. But to do other things, you have to tap on this little up arrow, and then you get other options here as well, which are also pretty small too. So for someone like me, who literally does this stuff for a living, reviewing phones and all that, this is fine. But for someone that's a bit older and not as coordinated, I could see this being a bit problematic. Now, thankfully, due to Android being the way it is, there are a bunch of different other camera apps available in the Google Play Store. So I suppose if you or someone you know is having a tough time using this camera app, there are other options. Now with the Moto G Stylus 2021, we're getting 4 GB of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 678 processor. Now in general, I've been happy with the performance that this phone provides. In general, things run very smoothly. And also, due to Motorola's own software here in the phone, everything is nicely optimized. Now, I was actually going to talk about that later on in the video, but I guess I'll talk about it right now. But in general, we're getting a really clean build of Android here. And while this is not stock Android because Motorola has added in quite a few of their own features, things do tie in really nicely here. And it doesn't feel like they took Android and kind of tried to change it into their own thing, especially because there's really no need to reinvent the wheel here. So I like that they took what's great about stock Android and then added in all their cool extra features. Now I do have a dedicated tips and tricks video about the Moto G Stylus 2021 here on the channel. So definitely take a look at that video to learn about all the various things they can do here with the phone, because there are quite a few hidden features here that are not too obvious at first. Now video recording with the Moto G Stylus 2021 maxes out at 4K with the rear camera and 1080p with the front. And again, later on in the video, I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from the phone. Now with the Moto G Stylus 2021, we're getting a pretty big 4,000 milliamp hour internal battery, which is nice. Now one downside though, with the Moto G Stylus 2021 is that there is no NFC. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments using services such as Google Pay, for example, then you won't be able to do that here with the phone. But if that's something that you don't do at the moment and don't think you'll ever really need, then I suppose that's not really a big deal. But if you have that feature on your current phone and you want to upgrade to this phone and you like using that feature, then just know that you're not getting it here with the Moto G Stylus 2021. But now that we've gone over the various highlights of the phone, let's take a closer look at the hardware. So I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here, but in general, I think it is a nice looking display, and I like that it is nice and large, which really does make this phone ideal for content consumption. Now taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the phone, we have the power button. It's also the fingerprint sensor. We have volume down and volume up. Then on the top of the phone, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, microphone, speaker, and we have, of course, the stylus. Now, this phone, of course, is called the Moto G Stylus, and for a really good reason, because this phone does indeed have an actual stylus built into the bottom of it. Now, it's kind of similar to the Galaxy Note series of phones, but the stylus is certainly not quite as advanced, and the various things that you can do with it are a bit on the basic side. But then again, if you're just looking for a more affordable option to the Note series of phones, and you just want to be able to do basic tasks with the stylus, then this is totally fine. And you actually get quite a few tools here. So there's some different pre-installed applications that allow you to do sketches, and actually you can color in stuff if you want to as well. So that's pretty interesting. You can also go ahead and take notes with it. You can write. So that's pretty awesome. So the stylus is decently responsive. You do have some different options for changing the color of the pen as well, which is pretty cool too. You can erase, So definitely quite a few cool features here, but in addition to that, of course, remember that there are a variety of different applications in the Play Store that do take advantage of using a stylus, and you will be able to use those various apps with this phone as well. So of course, we do have quite a few nice pre-installed applications to use the stylus with, but you can always go ahead and download different third-party apps, and you can even add them to this little panel here on the side. So that does make it really easy and convenient to use. So in general, I think the stylus does serve its purpose. I'm glad it's here, and I can definitely see where this would make sense for quite a few people to use. Now in general, I've been very impressed with the photo and video quality from the Moto G Stylus 2021. The pictures really do look nice, with great colors overall, and in general, it's just very easy to take good looking pictures. And the reason I mention that is because with many of these budget phones, it's kind of hit or miss whether or not your images that you take are actually going to look good. But in general, I've had a really good experience taking pictures that look really nice here with the Moto G Stylus 2021. And really in general, I don't have any complaints. For kind of a lower end mid-range phone, this device takes perfectly fine images, and definitely photos and videos that you'll be able to post on social media, and you'll be able to save those memories and look back on them, and everything will be in nice, good quality. So again, I don't have really too many critiques when it comes to the photo and video quality from this device, just because things have been very good. But I'll really let the quality speak for itself, because you can see it right here in front of you. But let's now switch over to some video samples from the Moto G Stylus 2021. Here's a front-facing test video using the Moto G Stylus 2021 in 1080p. Also keep in mind the audio quality from this video too. And here is a 4K test video with the Moto G Stylus 2021 using the main camera on the phone. And here is a test video using the ultra wide angle camera with the Moto G Stylus 2021 in 1080p. So we can fit a lot more content into the frame here. It's definitely a bright, sunny day out today too. Here's a macro camera video with the Moto G Stylus 2021. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a 1080p test video using the main rear camera with the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021. We have quick autofocus in video mode, which is awesome. Some results from the Geekbench 5 benchmark test that I did here. I got a single core score of 112. In general, video content does look really good here on the Moto G Stylus 2021. Now, one thing to keep in mind though, is that with this phone, there is no stereo audio. So that is a little bit of a difference from last year's Moto G Stylus 2020. And what I mean by that is that audio only comes out of the main speaker on the bottom, and it doesn't come out of the earpiece. Now, obviously the earpiece is used for phone calls, and you can hear audio out of it when doing calls, but for anything else, you're only getting audio that comes out of the main speaker on the bottom. and that's certainly not a deal breaker, but I will say compared to the predecessor of this phone, the audio quality is not quite as good. But the good news though is that it still is decently good and it does get the job done. So it's not like you're gonna be watching a video on this phone and thinking that the audio quality is really bad. It's just that last year's Moto G Stylus 2020 had some of the best speakers of any like budget or mid-range smartphone. So it does seem like they're taking a bit of a step back here, but then again, it does get the job done and you certainly won't have any regrets. And as far as the video viewing experience goes, again, since this phone does have such a large display, things really do look good here, and I do like that you can crop in for a more immersive experience. So in general, I'm happy with the video viewing experience here with the phone. Now, another benefit of having such a large display here is that the web browsing experience is also really good. So you can see that scrolling is really smooth as well, which is great, but also when you go over to different articles, they're very easy to read. Text is nice and big. Of course, you can always make it even bigger in the settings as well. But in general, this phone is great for content consumption, so certainly no complaints when it comes to that. But in conclusion, is the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021 worth getting? In general, I'm a really big fan of this phone. I feel like it is a very capable device and will likely suit the needs for quite a few people out there. If you're looking for something a step above some of the cheaper budget devices, but at the same time, you don't want to spend $1,000 or $600 on a smartphone, then I feel like the Moto G Stylus 2021 really has the right compromises where you won't have necessarily a compromised experience, if that makes sense. So this is a very capable smartphone, and I think it will satisfy the needs of many people out there. Really, the only reason why you need something better or more powerful is if there are specific features that you really want that this phone doesn't have, or if you just want a faster phone. But again, the speed of the phone has been really good from my experience. Of course, not the best out there, that's for sure, but I feel like this phone is very fairly priced, so you really are getting what you pay for here. But I'm curious to know what you think about the Moto G Stylus 2021. Definitely let me know in the comment section below, but I hope you enjoyed the video. But this is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one.